Here we go, JP's Ponderings, and today we are going to talk about something that is definitely dear to my heart and is creating a bit of a stir out there when I look at anything, whether it's on my phone or if it's on TV, on the radio. There seems to be a bit of a stir, and a certain politician in South Australia, the Premier, Peter Malinauskas, has suggested that there should be a ban on all children under the age of 14 using social media. Now, I won't get into the nitty-gritty of what actually is classed as social media. I could almost say anything is classed as social media in this day and age. But in general, it's basically saying YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook should be taken away from children under the ages of 14. Now, this does open a very interesting Pandora's box. And for me as a parent, I'll look at it from two sides of the tale here and what I have seen. Now, I have very young children. Those children are 9 and 10 years old. And I was stupid enough to give them a mobile phone because there was times there that we might be late picking them up or have to drop them off, or basically had it where in my mind it was a simple process. You can call them and get in contact with them. They can call you, text you. Now, is it cool that my children text me? Yes, they're the best texts I get for my whole day. But when one of my children starts to become a little bit more on the phone, a little bit more addicted, so to speak, I can speak about that. So when we talk about a rule coming in, a blanket rule, how will you police that? God knows how that actually police that. These social media sites already do ask you questions like how old you are, so you are not looking at the content, but not that I did this, but you can just get around that by putting a different date on there, so you can progress forward with them, so they can have their Strava, so they can see how far they're walking and running, and they can do competitions with their friends and things like that. That is social engagement with a bit of education, with fitness involved. So it's a tick, tick, tick from me. But when I look at the effects that it does have, and they're saying that social media, there's no doubt that I've seen it with my own eyes, with my own children, that the text messages, the messengers, the kids' messenger that my children have does go backwards and forwards, and there is definitely bullying going on in those text messages, which I've seen. So that's what I've seen. I have no doubt it's prolific out there. And when everyone's trying to do the right thing and be nice all the time, I can see this as an issue where if you're parenting and not actually looking at this, then I can assure you what's going on. The effects that has on the child, they can become more antisocial. They don't want to be involved. They don't want to go to school. They don't want to hang out with their friends. And they're ridiculous things. I'm not saying these are ridiculous things. They're very important topics. But when your child, who is like a rake, if I don't know if I'm allowed to say that anymore, is saying, "Oh, does this outfit look fat on me?" Now, there we have a problem. And you look at what is myself and my wife doing as parents? Are we saying those sort of things in front of our parents? You know what? I think I say I'm on a diet every day of my life. Do I mean it? Of course, I fucking don't mean it. But they don't know that. And as a parent, you really have to take ownership on how you're bringing up your children. So I don't take full responsibility for that because we don't talk like that around our family. But it's not what happens when we're there. It's what happens when we're not there. Hence this device. And yes, we have rules. You can't be on the phone when you're in your room. You can't be on your phone unsupervised. But if they're in the back seat of the car and you're driving, is that unsupervised? Yeah, it is, because you have no idea what they're looking at. And this doesn't just stem from the social media platforms. It also stems from text messages and friends that for some reason people think it's okay to say certain things online. So looking at the effects it's had on my children, specifically one of them, I can see this as a major problem. Now, that's antisocial behaviour, that's bullying, that's all the things you dread and hear of as a child. And like I keep telling my kids, I didn't have one of these when I was at school. Yes, I know, I don't look that old. But we had a phone that you could send a text message and you could ring someone, and it was fantastic. And now, mini computer that's far smarter than me, giving us information from all around the world about anything at any particular time. You just don't know. And do I think introducing a blanket ban 14 and under is a great idea. I ironically do think that's a great idea because I have one of my girls that, no problem, don't look at that, put the phone away, and compliant, no worries. I've got another girl, maybe pushes the limit a little bit, maybe tries to be a bit like her father, which is fucking annoying. But when I see that there's time just on and scrolling through TikTok and Instagram, it starts to infuriate me. And I know that as an adult, I can make that decision to choose when I go down the rabbit hole and get lost on, whether it's on Instagram, TikTok or YouTube. That's up to me. But when I see it mindless scrolling in my child, I'll be honest, I don't like it. And if they were creating movies and if they were creating clips and things that they were getting something from and learning as a learning aid, I wouldn't be as concerned. But they're not. And for me to see that with my own children, so what does that do? Well, this thing becomes a hot topic. It becomes the biggest negotiating tool that you have in your family. It becomes a power tool. You then start to threaten and use it to weaponize this because, I'll take that away. And that's not how it should be. Could I have more control over my children? Maybe, but we let them, live and learn. And from what I've seen in a very small amount of time, I don't like what I'm seeing with my youngest daughter, where I can see as the oldest daughter, she is very balanced now. She looks at it. So it's really hard to pick an age and go, okay, there's an age for that, and we take it away. If you want their children to see it, they might see it. And my two children have their own Instagram page. Not a fan of it, but I can see that in time, unless something else comes to the plate, that is something that they can use as a base to either promote themselves or to promote other products. So I do see that. Do I like it? I don't know. I'm on the fence, but I understand that. So I can see how taking these pages away could affect some people and some of these children whose parents are running their pages and they might be making millions, and this could be a problem. But in the scheme of things, we are talking about the minority. So to sum that up, there are some other countries around the world. I believe Florida has actually introduced this, and it's going to be in play very soon. Spain has also introduced this before, and I don't know what the effects of that are. It'd be interesting to see the studies coming out about how these children are progressing moving forward. Now, I'm not a conspirator, but ByteDance, which is a Chinese-owned business, is the one that has created TikTok. Now, I've been told that in China, their TikTok pages is of kids performing well and doing well academically, winning prizes, positive. Yet the rest of the world's TikTok is full of, let's face it, garbage. So this is an interesting play. If you look at what the Chinese are doing, they've got that as a tool to say, hey, this is good for us. It's the best. We're the best. These children are the best. And everyone's feeling good about themselves. To the rest of the world, that's a bit of a go f*** yourselves. We'll show you a totally different platform. Now, morally, where do we stand with that? That's another session that I'm not even going to go into, but it's just not right, is it? So deleting TikTok would not bother me at all, and it probably wouldn't bother many people, but for underage 14-year-olds, I think it's a great idea. So there's some of the issues that I've seen with my own children. I'm actually supportive of this. Oh, heaven forbid, I'll probably get lynched next time I go to the school, but anyway, if I look at this, let's just talk about this mobile phone. These things, supercomputers in your hands, and everyone has become so reliant on them to the stage where it's annoying. Now, you would all think I'm on my phone flat out. I'm actually not, funny enough, and I do have a few things I'm a bit fanatical about, and one of those is when we're at the family dinner between my wife and my two children, we cannot have any phones at all around. So we can talk, we can communicate, we can pretend it was like times before a phone. And they make me feel good. Those times are some of the best times that I get for interaction. No one's sidetracked. Hence why I also love a podcast, a long format podcast. Someone is sitting with me. They are not looking at their phone. I am not looking at my phone. It is 100% concentration. And the conversations can go anywhere because they're deep and enriched. They're not one ear listening and the other ear watching TV and the other ear thinking about what they're buying online. Next thinking, oh shit, how many likes have I got? All these things is what's processing through someone's mind when their phone is near. I'm making a big point for me to try and make sure that I'm not on my phone, and I was one of those people. I'll be talking to someone and I'll be like, yeah, I just have to check this. And you look about how that feels for that person, it's rude, right? And it doesn't come across that in your mind, but something subconsciously goes into their mind, I'm not that important. And it's no different for a meeting. If someone rocked up for a job interview at Drake's and put their phone on the table and said, all right, I'm here for the job interview, I would be thinking that's crazy. Where if you have a meeting with me one-on-one, I do have my phone there. And I've been trying to just put that there. It's still there. I'm still looking at it, but maybe it shouldn't even be on the table. And I know it's upside down, but the temptation is there. So these things here are controlling our lives to a stage that's going to be scary. With the new AIs that are coming through, the personal assistants, I firmly believe every single person will have their own personal assistant. It'll be far smarter than any personal assistant they've ever dealt with in their life. And that will be the part that'll maybe even educate children, where the children will have their own personal assistant. They'll learn one-on-one and ask questions of the AI to help them learn in a pace that works for them, which is better than any teacher because it's one-on-one. So rapid development in the progression in mobile phones, don't get me started on it. I think we've become far too reliant. I mean, we can film on these, we can caption on these. You can practically do everything on it, and the whole world's become so addicted to it. It is an addiction. I see it within my own family. My wife cannot watch a movie without checking her phone 4 times. Now, this really bothers me. And I sit there, is it hard to watch a movie without a phone? No, it's not. And I'm the one that remembers the whole movie. So when I say, what do you think about that? And I do that every now and then, knowing she's fully not concentrating. Oh, what do you think of that, babe? What do you think of that expression? And she just goes, no idea. So, yeah, it's probably not the nicest thing to do, but it's a way of pointing out, hey, just focus on the one thing. It's so much simpler. It was so much easier taking a video back to the video store than trying to figure out, how often do you sit there on I'm going off phones here, but how often do you sit on Netflix and go, I don't know, there's nothing to watch. Me, there's millions of things to watch, and people just get too consumed with all the data thrown at us. And that's why everyone's so worn out. We're tired. We can't sleep. The anxiety levels are through the roof. Yeah, that's because I'm watching my mate Ben Hennock thinking, fucking hell, I'm living such a sheltered life. I can't believe this. And then I watch one of my other mates and he's out there snorkeling with dolphins. Like, what am I doing with myself? Fucking hell. When will people fucking understand what you see on Instagram is the best that's happened for that person's day or life? And in the end, good on them. I'm all for it. I wish it was me. But it's not. You just got to be happy with yourself, encourage others, and just be happy for people, for God's sake. I feel sorry for the kids of today. They can't do anything without something being on camera. Like back in my day, we'd go to a party, go to a rave party, have the time of our lives and not worry about someone getting some footage of us held up into the corner because we can't move. It is something that we didn't have to worry about growing up. We were never addicted to this. I mean, the highlight was going home and then plugging the computer in and then getting it to connect to the internet, and then the would take ages to get the picture to come up. And you'd try and get it. I don't know. Anyone that knows that knows what I'm talking about. If you know, you know. So we don't have that. It's all here now. And back in the day, we didn't have to worry about that. Not to mention the cost of a phone. Like, you wonder why you can't buy a house. Well, you're paying $50 a month. Things have gone up dramatically, and having a phone is another expense that was never around in my day. Subscription services were never around in my day. And yes, they all are now. So you have to be even smarter. You have to be a lot smarter than me to be able to have a house in the future. Mark my words. Because it's become all unattainable because we're wasting our money on shit we don't need. I do that as well. I am one of those people. Well, I could talk for days, but that'd be wasting everyone's time on social media. But there is a clear correlation between the introduction of social media, anxiety, depression, mental health issues growing and growing with the platforms Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, all having steep increases in people's mental health, with their anxiety, and with just general cyberbullying in general. And this has all been enabled by this, with the massive adoption of the smartphone in 2012. So you can see the clear correlation if you look at any graphs. So to me, this is a big problem. It is a problem that we've never had to deal with before. And every single person that's leaving their phones and devices with children that are young should be having a look at themselves to make sure they know exactly what they're doing. Are they just drawing and doing things like that? Or are they mindless scrolling, whether it be on TikTok? I keep saying TikTok. There's a reason for that. I must love TikTok. But every parent should know what their children are looking at, whether on the phone. They shouldn't be left without them. These are just my personal views. But I think it's a great step to look into putting a ban in place where they can't have it on their phones, and then it's solely up to the parents, and the parents can't sit there and blame someone else. It is a rule brought in that it still have to be policed by the parents, let's face it. So it's going to have to be a collaborative effort to make sure that that can work for the future, for the betterment of all of humans in the world. This is not just a thing in Australia. This is a worldwide issue that if something isn't done, I am gravely concerned for the future of my children.